let's start explaining a little bit about the melody. In the song we have 3 different modes: the Lydian mode, Aeolian, and Dorian mode. In the Aeolian mode we have a symmetric chord progression of -1 halftones and then +4 halftones. And I've linked the modes. They're all on the diatonic scale of D sharp, which is just D sharp minor, normal D sharp minor. I've linked all of the modes with a perfect fifth, kind of like how they call it, and that I've written in a lot of different ways that I'm going to explain. In terms of arrangement, we have this track is an A, B, C, D, E, and of course again. And I've connected the melody and the arrangement in ways that A and D plays the same melody on the Lydian mode, and B and E plays the same melody on the Aeolian mode. So you kind of get a preview on the first 2 parts about what is going to come later. And of course they are being mixed differently. This one with as a build-up, and this part as a drop. I also created variations from the first half of the song to the second half on the B part, which is playing the Aeolian symmetric chord progression with a bass guitar. And here on the second B, it's playing the symmetric chord progression. Symmetric chord progression with a piano. I'm gonna get on the piano later. So in terms of rhythm, this track is triplets on 172 from start to finish. So let's get a little bit about drums mixing as a start. Let's solo the drums. I have 2 main kicks, 2 main snares, couple of hats, couple of rim shots, couple of real snares, couple of toms, couple of percussion, couple of cymbals, and basically the main kicks and main snares are being resampled 40 times before I open them up again on the usual FL Studio sampler. And the hats, rim shots, real snares, toms, percussion, and cymbals are being resampled 18 times, and then I open them up in an FL Studio sampler called SliceX. I resampled the drums with effects such as parallel compression, high frequency distortion, some EQ, reverb. I change maybe a little bit the transients and normalize, denoise. After I open them up in the sampler, I send each one of them into an individual mixer channel so I could sidechain within the drum kit. So basically, my main kicks, kick 1, kick 2, and my main snares, snare 1 and snare 2, are sidechaining all of the blue ones, the real snares, rim shots, toms, percussion, hats, and cymbals. I sidechain all of the blue ones by sending them into a single channel, and here I open them a sidechain compressor. I have here Pro-C fab filter on mid side. This is the kick, the first kick. Second kick, the same, kind of different settings. First snare, also mid side. And second snare, I sidechain in left right, and I'm gonna explain a little bit why later. After the blue ones, the real snares, rim shots, tones, percussion, hats, and cymbals are being sidechained in the mixer channel. They're being sent into the drum kit group, and here you both get all of the blue ones and the main kicks and main snares. So we have here all of our drums are being centered into this group channel. We have here an EQ'd parallel compression, and high frequency distortion as a layer, and EQ'd reverb as a layer, of course, and a little bit of soft clipping. After I process them in the drum kit group channel, I send them into the drum kit effects channel, and here I apply some different effects during the song whenever I need effects such as feedback, filter, delay flanger, and EQ'd parallel compression, and high frequency distortion. So let's grab a listen to some of the effects. Let's grab a listen to a filter. Delay flanger. And EQ'd parallel compression. And the EQ'd parallel compression and the high frequency distortion I use mainly for the drum fills and drum rolls, places like this. You can see the mix knob being activated, and the mute solo button being also activated. This gives the drum fills and drum rolls a little bit of less dynamic in the low end frequency, and also a little bit of high frequency noise just to feel like a drum roll. For the drum rolls, I also have a stereo effect that I use, also being mixed only on the drum rolls. This gives the whole drum kit the same stereo feel, so they will sound together. Without the stereo effect, it sounds like this. Yeah, really panned. Not enough the same stereo. So it really helps. And you usually, the way I sequence my drums is that you never hear on the snares, you never hear a single sample. It's always, they're almost always on the snares layering going on. So let's solo, for example, just a single sample. This is the first main snare. And we have another layer here of real snares. I have another layer of rim shots as a transient. Let's play them all together. what's great about it is that you can just change. You can just change the samples, because there are so many samples here that I've processed. You can just change it on the track and create a lot of variations, so you're not stuck with a single drum sample. So let's change it. Let's hear it in the layer. Yeah, so a lot of variations, which is great. And you can also do this with the rim shots, because the rim shots is also there's also a bunch of samples. Yeah, kind of change the transient. For the drum fills, I usually use the second snare, and also only as a transient. You can see that it's fading in amplitude, and also being a little bit shorter, so it will. So I use only the transient of the second snare. And it's also a bunch of layerings of second snare, main snare, rim shots, snares, and percussion. There are also toms going here on this second part. And the kick. What's cool about this kick, is that it's actually sidechaining. It's kick number 1. So it's actually sidechaining all of the other drums. So you get a priority on the amplitude of the kick. Yeah, and again, I can just change the samples whenever I want. So you get a lot of variations. Another thing that I really like to do is to use the mixer effects as atmospheres, or just to enhance some aspects of the song. I have here a delay flanger, a high frequency delay, that I fade it in. It's on its band left. So just grab a listen. Yeah, let's solo it. You can see it's fading in and fading out. So that way you can actually create atmospheres, again, with a lot of variations on the track. Although I do use atmospheres as samples. I'm gonna get on it later. Yeah, this delay have set a panning to it, and delay time, for example, how quick it will be, a feedback amount, a depth. It's a flanger, I think. Yeah, flanger depth. And the panning. You can see it's a layer, of course, and with the input and output, the main signal going out untouched. another thing that I really like to do with the drums is I like to tune them to the melody. It both prevents phase cancellation and prevents dissonance. So a great place that I've done it is over here. Let's hear the full track, just to get a little bit of perspective. What's cool about this snare this last one, it's actually playing in terms of melody, it's playing the perfect fifth that goes into the next mode. So we have here our Lydian mode, which is on B, and this snare is playing this B, these two, and this last one is going half a tone down to play an A sharp, and then A sharp is our fifth to the B, to the D sharp. So you actually get your perfect fifth with a snare less than half a second before the next mode. And I really like to do this kind of stuff. So as I said, tuning down your drums really prevents phase cancellation and prevents dissonance. Another place that I've tuned down my drums is over here. I have my kick. It's actually toned one tone up. So it will again reduce phase cancellation between the sub and kick. And what's cool about it is you actually need less sidechain. And you just sidechain not to prevent phase cancellation, but to reduce overall volume when you tune your drums. So it was like this. And then I took it back up. So if we're already talking about sidechain, let's just explain about how I do it. I always use an oscilloscope when I sidechain, always. It's really easy and great way to do it. This way you can see how much phase cancellation you're getting, and if you need more threshold volume reduction. And you can also see the release time. So if the release is too fast, it will look something like this. You can see the kick and you can see the sub. And you can see there is like a fade in from the kick to the sub. You can also hear it, of course, but it's really important the more you go faster. So for example, if the threshold was too high, you could see the phase cancellation on the kick, like this. Let's take it down. So now there isn't any phase cancellation. So yeah, use an oscilloscope when you sidechain. It's really important and really easy, really easy. Another place that I've tuned the drums is over here. We have the tones tuned to the melody. It's an octave higher than the sub. I also tuned down the percussion. Does also again prevent phase cancellation. There's a little bit of sidechain going on here just to reduce overall volume. I have here because the tones here are panned really hard left and hard right, I also panned my transient for the toms, which is basically this snare. And that's why I use the sidechain from this snare to the toms in left right. Because I have a lot of other elements here that aren't panned left and right. So they don't need to be sidechain on both the right signal when the snare is actually panned left. Yeah, another thing that I really like to do with the cymbals is to fade them out using the piano rolls, FL Studio piano rolls tool. You know, there's a slide note. You can see here, there's a slide cymbal. This note is actually gaining different properties, such as if I pitch it up or if I fade it and reduce the amplitude. So it's gonna. That's pretty much about the drums, I think. I'm gonna get down to the synthesizer, or I'm gonna go to the piano and bass guitar stuff. So let's solo our synthesizers. Basically, my synthesizers are all done live. I really like when things are done live because then you can change them and there you can create a lot of variations, create a lot of flaring. Yeah, so kind of like with the drums, you almost never hear a single instrument, single synthesizer being played. There are always, or most of the time, there are layers going on. I use the layers in order to create a stereo field. I'm gonna explain about it a little bit. Our fifth synthesizer. Let's work around, show how I do most of the stuff. This synthesizer is a Harmor by FL Studio, a great synthesizer. I usually have the knobs that I want to move are linked to the XY controller over here. And then I record the automation. So a lot of people choose to have an automation clip on their playlist or just to do it in an event editor. But I really like to press the record button or just do Shift R and start moving the knob. So you get fast and easy automation. And a lot of variations again, kind of like in the drums. Because if I will have to make an automation clip on the playlist for each control or automation that I have, it will be like endless amount of time of working around it. I have so many automations, and I would just go crazy if I would, do all of them in automation clips. Just Shift R, move it, and you have your variation. So really quick and easy. After basically I create a synthesizer, have all of the XY of course, and then I give it a mixer channel. And the mixer channel, I have a couple of more automations if I want. And on all of them, I have a multi-band compression and a knob that sends the mixer channel to three different channels. So check these three send knobs over here. We have the left mid channel that I can choose to send the synthesizer to, the right side channel that I can choose to send to, and the synth end, which is actually a bypass to two of these channels. Just let's move the knob and check these little things over here. Just a simple control. I can control the stereo field of the synthesizer. The left mid channel gives the synthesizers 100%, keeps it mid. The right side channel makes the synthesizer 100% side. And when you have a layer of two synthesizers, one going to the left mid and the other one going to the right side, you get a stereo field that's really wide. Also great because when I sidechain my synthesizers from the drums, I also use mid-side. So you get sidechain only to the mid, probably from the kick, and if you have a cymbal, kind of like in stereo stuff, it's gonna sidechain more the synthesizers. What's also great about this way is that I can choose to send only the mid or only the side signal into an FX channel, which is number 26, the red one. I can, for example, just reverb only the side signal or only the mid signal, or just filter only the side or only the mid, or only distort the side or mid. So you get an independent effects for the side and for the mid. So let's apply an effect to the mid. Let's just send this channel into the effects channel. And let's have a distortion type B. Yeah, really harsh distortion. So let's activate our side signal and show how it's not being distorted. Let's unsend it from the group. So now our side signal isn't being distorted and our mid signal is being distorted. So this doesn't sound great, but you can get a lot of variations again and find whatever you need for a pattern. Yeah. Yeah, again, I've recorded the knobs because moving these knobs is just a nightmare. You record it and you get, maybe you can smooth it. So we can get off variations again in a million times. So let's unsolo the other scene. Yeah, for example, I have here a synthesizer that's playing a completely different role from, it's kind of like playing an atmosphere. Here let's solo it. And here I use it to create some kind of a clip. So keeping your synthesizers live can help you get a lot of variations and cool layerings. That's mostly about it. Sometimes I have 3 layerings or 2 layerings. 3 or 4 layerings, sorry. Here I have 3. There is number, this one, this one. So you get 3 different layers. And what's cool is that they're being compressed together, so you don't get over volume. Let's show the output only. Yeah, you don't get over volume, because if they weren't compressed, you would probably get like 3 times the amount. So this small synthesizer is banned with the piano roll again, really hard left and hard right. So let's create another variation with it. Create variations for number 11. Just open them, give them automations, controllers, sorry. Then compress them, usually. Then choose to send them to a side signal, to side channel or to a mid channel. And then maybe effects, and then compress them. So that's basically how my synthesizers work. Unsolo everything. Alright, so let's get to the piano recordings. So we have here a lot of layerings. There are also layerings from a home recording of an upright piano. This is a home recording. I recorded the concert hall piano with a phased pair stereo technique of microphone placement. After I layered all of them together, the processing I gave them is basically because I recorded left-right independently on stereo, and there is a lot of difference between the left and right signals. I actually parallel compressed the left and right independently. So right now it's already inside a sample, but let's just activate it. It will probably sound pretty bad. So this is the right channel, and the one below, the compressor below, is a left channel. So when you actually compress them left-right, you don't really feel like it's compressed. You don't get any unnecessary compression, especially when it's parallel compression. I've done the same left-right processing, just with a limiter, and it's already inside the sample. Yeah, so it's a left-right split with a stereo shaper and then limiting. So it's not a single layer, as I said before. There are a couple of flarings. This is a home recording. And this is also. This is also an upright home recording. It's like two different pianos are going here. And also this is another recording for the more low end. So there are 4 different layerings going around. And some parallel compression independent of left-right and left-right limiting. And a little bit of sidechaining, but just for this specific kick over here. Yeah, it's playing the symmetric chord progression. With -1 half tone and -1 half tone equals 4. -1, again +4, and now -1 and +4. I connected the parts, and with again the perfect fifth, connected all of the modes together with the fifth. So we have here D sharp major, and then it's going into a G sharp, and G sharp is a Dorian mode. Yeah, so in the arrangement I created a lot of variations. In the beginning I have the Dorian mode. I have a bass guitar and a piano recordings. This is the difference between the first half song to the second. And on the C part, on the Dorian mode, on the second half of the song, I've done actually a little bit of a jazz drum solo stuff. Let's get to the bass guitar recordings. Yeah, so the bass guitar recordings are direct input from the bass guitar straight to the sound card, when you record like that, it comes out really raw. You know, it's not the RMS level is really low and it doesn't sound great. You know, it sounds kind of like I have here a recording. Let's open it. Sounds something like this. Sorry, something like this. It's not layered, it's not resampled and stuff. So what how I process my bass guitar is that after I record it in direct input, I resample it. I have here the resampling process over here. Yeah, FX chain 1. So let's say I've recorded the bass guitar and there's just a single recording on mono. So I start out by giving it 3 different cabinets simulation. And then I give it 3 different kinds of reverbs just to simulate as if I was recording with 3 different rooms and 3 different mix and 3 different cabinets. After that, I give it a little bit of mid-frequency parallel compression. You can see here just a direct signal out and another signal being parallel compressed, of course. And we have here high frequency saturation or mid frequency saturation. And again, a little bit of limiting or compression, a little bit of compression. After that, I give them multi-band compression with this plugin. It's an amazing compressor. I love it. After that, I give them, I give the bass guitar mid-frequency distortion as a layer, of course. It's not on the whole sample. It's kind of like sending your bass guitar into another channel, and on this channel, giving it a mid-frequency distortion, and then sending it back into colliding it with the original bass guitar recording. So it's a layer of mid-frequency distortion, and then another multi-band compression, a little bit of low cut and high frequency raise. After that, I have sampled it and gave it a left-right independent. I think I haven't used this effect actually. Yeah, I didn't use it. So after these 2 effects, all the mid-frequency maximus and EQ, I have a sample, which is this sample. And of course that between the stages, I open them in Edison and EQ it, denoise it, normalize and do whatever, a lot of stuff. And then I open it as a sample and send it into a bass guitar channel. On this channel, I keep the effects and not resample them because there's are effects that are actually being triggered as the bass guitar is playing. So let's just reverse just a little bit of atmospheres. So you can see this knob, pre-distortion knob, being activated. It's the first in the effects chain. It's a distortion. There's here a little bit of an EQ, a layer of Saturn, and then another layer of or the original signal being with a distortion. Just as it goes till the end of the pattern of the recording, it gets more and more distortion. You can see this knob being triggered here, more and more distortion. So after the distortion effect, we have a little bit of high frequency distortion as a layer again. And then we have a little bit of left and right layering. And I really like this layering. I've done again the feedback effect. And let's solo it. Like a feedback of a cabinet. I just love this sound, you know. So let's grab a listen to the right channel layering. Yeah, really small layering. Let's unsolo all. Let's solo only the original. Now unsolo the left one and again the right one later. Yeah, so it gives it a little bit of a left-right layering. And then we have a mid-side compression, just because I thought that the mid signal was weak a little bit. And then we have another effect that's being triggered. You can see the dry mix knob here being raised as the bass guitar reaches the ending of the recording. This effect is it gives the whole signal a bandpass to the mid frequencies only, and then it forces it to mono. Sounds like this. Radio effect, or kind of like old rock songs. So we have here after that hard limiting, and soft clipping. Because this specific bass guitar isn't being played all alone, there are some stuff. Because it isn't being played alone, and there is the fade in of the submix. Because there is the fade in of the submix, I needed to reduce the volume of the bass guitar. But instead of having a volume automation of doing so, I decided to sidechain, to do a volume automation with a sidechain from the submix to the bass guitar. So let's check how it looks and then talk about it. This way, the actual reduction, the reduction of volume of the bass guitar is being done according to the volume of the submix going upwards. So you don't get any kind of like less volume or more volume, and the fade in and fade out of the two elements of the bass guitar and the submix is being transferred simultaneously in oh my god, being crossfade correctly in volume. The submix is basically another pattern that I have a filter over here on the pattern on the submix, and the bass guitar is going straight to the master. You can see the resonance going up. That's probably it about the bass guitar recordings. Let's go to the atmospheres. Let's start explaining about atmospheres. Mostly how I do my atmospheres is two ways. I have one synthesizers playing atmospheres, kind of like this one. First of all of the atmospheres are going to an atmospheres channel, and they're getting here sidechain from the synthesizers on mid side again, and then being sent to a channel where they're getting sidechain from the drums. So the priority of volume is first given to the drums, after that to the synthesizers, and after that to the atmospheres. So your atmospheres are always not masking all of the other elements and actually just being sidechained. So let's explain about how I make my atmospheres. I have two ways of writing atmospheres. The first is with synthesizers, and the second one is, as you can see, with samples. All of the samples I'm just gonna all of these samples, all of the red things I've just marked, are basically atmospheres that I've done. I do my atmospheres after I finish the song. When I finish the song, all of the red ones are gone. They aren't written, and then I go back from the start and start just adding atmospheres. So let's start with how I do some of the atmospheres. In this track, I've written it from the drop and then written only the intros. So I had the drop finished, the C, D, and E finished before I've written the A and B. So what I've done is I've sampled the master channel because, as we said before, B and E are in the same mode and same melody. I also wanted to create a preview, so I sampled the master channel on this place. And then filtered it, blurred it, I think, and mono it, and then it gave me this sample. And I opened this sample over here on the bass guitar recording. So you kind of like get a preview of in the background of the actual drop, just filtered and mono.
Hi, this is Adone, and I'm gonna explain about my track.
Yeah, so how I do it. Let's do it again. Have here a record tool, Adone of FL Studio, another amazing tool. Let's record our master channel. So now we have our master channel recordings. So let's filter it with an EQ. Let's mono it. And that's kind of how I've done this stuff. Easy, simple, and effective. So more atmospheres I have over here is this one. They are basically, all these three are flangers. So I don't open a flanger effect for this specific role. So I just solo our synthesizers. And then let's find our samples. And it's like a real sample flanger. Let's mute them. So you get a little bit of flanger, and it's actually a left-right different flanger. And there are also a little bit of a fade in the flanger. So it's a cool way of controlling atmospheres with samples. Yeah, this atmosphere is this synthesizer. And I sampled it with Adone. Sample it. And then I reverb it. And then I think I've reversed it to get, and then fade it into stereo. And pan it on the sample, pan it left. So let's listen. You pan it left, and then you send it, of course, to the sidechain channel where they get the sidechain from the synthesizers. Same with this. Same thing. So here we have a couple of symbols. I also tuned them. I decided that this part needs a little bit of symbols. Yeah, something really small, but they're also tuned down to the melody, as you can hear. For tuning down stuff, I use both the G tune. Sometimes it works great, sometimes not. And if it doesn't, I open up Span. Just check out the fundamental, or sometimes I do it by ear. But it's better off on doing with Span. We have here another atmosphere. On here I think I have recorded only the drum group with Adone, and then blurred it. Let's just do it. Then I blurred it and fade it in. Maybe a little bit of frequency cut. something like this. Yeah, here for example I have a piano recording that I recorded with on home, an upright piano. I've recorded an XY stereo mic placement of an XY with the microphones, and in the end I chose to use only one of the microphones recording because I thought that this place, the piano recording, should be mono. Yeah, so it's mono. I have some street recordings that I've done. Just placed my microphone, took some annoying cars and buses or motorcycles. This is basically the synthesizer playing, just because I need to save a little bit of CPU. You know, because playing everything live just kills your CPU. For example, the way that I do the atmospheres with the channels as a synthesizer is over here. Just nice, cute synthesizer. And I think I pen it again, really hard right and really hard left. Again, it's being sidechained, so I use it as another layer and atmospheres. Well, that's most of the track, I guess. What more? More atmospheres. I have some piano recordings on the grand piano done here, and I've used it also as a atmosphere layer on top of the synthesizer. Just I cut it up all the just and then just sent it a little bit of low cut and then sidechained on the atmospheres channel. More atmospheres. I have here over here I wanted to create a little bit of a flanger or a chorus to the synthesizers. I just unsolo them. So this is the detuned one. So let's find it. Gives it a little bit of chorus. yeah, so that's basically about it, about the songs. Thanks for watching, and hope you learned some new stuff.